This is going to be a freestyle edit through video where I'm going to take you through these photos that I captured on Sunday. I literally just culled them very quickly and messily. Is that a word? And we're just going to go through and edit them. So hopefully you pick up some tricks and see a little bit of my workflow, my thought process, and maybe I'll get to explain some photographic techniques and lighting stuff that I do at weddings. So yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing these photos right now, other than 3-starring like my quick favorites. And I definitely have a lot of favorites. If you go down to the bottom, 143 pictures. I mean, these might make the cut, honestly. When I edit weddings, I pretty much edit every decent photo and try to get rid of duplicates. So yeah, this is at an art museum called McNay Art Museum here in San Antonio. So let's check these out. These all have the same lighting, but the exposure is a little different. So one quick thing I might do, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, is multi-select, make sure my sync is turned on down here in the bottom right, and click on auto. So that will adjust kind of the main first 6 sliders here based on the light. However, it can be thrown off by bright skies. And I find that the highlights are always dipped down too much to my liking. So I'll usually do that auto, and I'll go back and just reset the highlights or put them at a less intense setting. So let's see how the results are. If I press letter N, it'll go to survey mode, which shows your selected photos. They're kind of still all over the place. So I'm gonna go back to grid view, single select, and I'm just going to go through and do some quick develops changes here, just upping some of the exposure. Sometimes a double click, sometimes a single click. There we go. And let's set all the white balances the same. So multi-select, D for develop, and it's in the shade of sunlight. So I'll go around 6100. And this photo looks crooked, but I don't think it actually is. It's straight up and down. It's just there's a lot of diagonals over here. Let's see how the results look with the new white balance. These two still look kind of cool. Oh. So multi-select, D for develop. Make sure your sync is turned on the bottom right. And let's set the white balance to like 6100, 6200. It's in the shade. There we go. This one looks good, so the others should look good. Press letter N. Yep. Awesome. These are a little shadowy, so maybe just up the exposure a little bit, up the shadows. That white is a lot. You gotta be careful with the whites. Another thing with the auto adjustment is that the whites can go a little high. I don't usually like them over 20 or 30 because that's when clipping starts to happen in most photos. So just be careful with the whites. Always check the whites. Let's grab all these first look photos and do a white balance adjustment with sync turned on. Say about 6300. Instead of doing auto, I'm going to do manual adjustments here. This is usually what I like to do, somewhere around that range. Cool. Now let's check the individual exposures. They could go up a notch. I'm going to do plus, what is it, 1/3 stop with the 1 arrow. Yeah, 1/3, and then the 2 arrows is a whole stop. So nice, a little bit of a bright and airy glow. These photos look crooked to me, so I'm gonna D for develop, and I'm gonna go down to transform, and then click level and constrain crop. About 90% of the time, maybe 95, this is a great thing. Sometimes it's weird and mistakes angles and does wonky cropping and rotating, but this will basically straighten your photo. Look at that, awesome. So they're all straight up and down, despite these stairs, which probably actually helped because the horizontals looks good. I don't know what I was doing with these compositions here. It's pretty bad. Like, he's right on the edge. So I'll just have to make it a very intimate crop. Yeah. Oopsie. I was shooting over like a whole pottery thing in the stairs. So these are fine. I'm not going to spend time on those. Here's some nice portraits, here's some nice couples portraits here. Let's brighten it up. Drop those highlights a little bit because there's a lot of brightness over there in that top left. There we go. Don't want it to be too HDR-ish. I still want some contrast. And let's make sure they're all straight up and down and level. Very small adjustments, I'm sure. Yep, nice and bright. Awesome. Now, we did photos inside the art gallery, and you're not allowed to use flash. And I also didn't have my LED, which I don't know if they would allow that. So these are not ideal lighting, but you know, maybe we could do something artistic. can either darken it to make it a silhouette or try to fix the exposure. Not sure if I have enough data there to make it look good. Kind of washes out the artwork, so up to your choice. I'm gonna fix the perspective here. I'm gonna try auto. There we go. I should have shot a little bit lower. Make sure all those lines were parallel. Awesome, pretty good. Drop my texture a little bit. Maybe some vignette to focus on them in the middle. Okay, the lighting in this photo is horrible because of this tiny little room. So I'm just gonna do my lazy trick and make it black and white, because that's what you do when you can't fix color. You just take it away. And she's still really in his shadow, so I don't know. I might cut it. Level all of these photos at once. Whoa, see, it did not do it right. Let's undo that. These photos have more detail in them, so yeah, there we go. Better. So select all three, edit. There we go. They're in the shadows, so that looks nice. Highlights are fine. Do a little softening on this one, actually. These are some nice solid shade portraits, which gives them a little bit of blue color to them. So I'm gonna select all of these. They look pretty even in their exposure. I may not have actually changed my settings very much. I'm gonna do some basic edits to all these with them all selected, because they all pretty much have the same color temperature. They're in that same shade, and they were shot within a very, like, you know, a small window of time. These right here are sunny, so the edits will definitely look different. So D for develop, make sure sync is turned on. And let's do just a little pop here. Drop the texture for the skin. I always love vibrance a little bit high. Some contrast. And honestly, I think I like the color temperature where it is. Let's let these update. And by the way, if your thumbnails don't update, zooming in or out can help refresh the thumbnails. It just kind of forces Lightroom to regenerate thumbnails faster, whereas sometimes it gets stuck. These are a little underexposed. That's an easy fix. Let's zoom out again. Actually, I don't need the side panel. There we go. Yeah, let's deselect with Control D. I'm gonna grab these right here and boost these all together just with their exposure. If you click on the title of a slider, and then you can use plus and minus on your keyboard. Nice and bright. Kind of going for romantic, bright and airy here, not dark and moody. Let's grab all of these. These are all the same. Plus still controls the exposure slider, because that was the last one I did. These are all needing a little boost. That looks good for those. Let's see about these first two. Yeah, too bright for this, so drop these. Now there's a lot of architectural shapes in these, so I'm gonna do an auto level. So I'm gonna select all of these. I think, yeah, they all should have vertical lines in them. D for develop, go down to transform, click level, and then check constrain crop. There we go. So now it's looking for vertical lines, and let's see if it messed any of them up. Because sometimes it'll see a diagonal and go a little crazy. Like that one right there. Does not look great. In fact, I don't think I like what it did with any of these, so I'm gonna turn that off. And you also need to go to your cropping and reset it, because it kind of does some cropping sometimes. Yeah, there we go, back to normal. That one, you can see it's vertical. These are good. Okay. These have a lot of darks in them. I'm gonna boost the shadows. Maybe raise the blacks a little bit. Some exposure, there we go. Okay, sunny, shaded ones here. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. This video is getting a little long. I'm gonna go to the off-camera flash ones, because these ones, they just have a different editing dynamic when you have flash added. So I had a large softbox, well, 34-inch parabolic diffuser. Oops, wrong way. And that just gives me a little boost in their light. Definitely warm that up. Now there was no clouds that day. I'll probably leave it for the sake of authenticity, but this would be super easy to add some clouds or sky in Photoshop. And sometimes when I do that, I actually do that half opacity. So it kind of blends in with the natural sky, and it just looks so much more realistic. Hey, look, what's that? My shadow over there. I'll remove that later. These are a little bit more on the dark end, dark and moody, although they're smiling. There we go. This one looks nicer. Fills the screen better for your sake. A bit warmer, not too warm. Clarity up, texture down. That's what I like. It gives it punch, but it doesn't accentuate skin texture and blemishes. If you press in, it'll show all your selected images in survey mode, which I really like. And there we go. This one in the middle looks a little dark. So solo that one out. Yeah, it also looks pretty crooked to me. I might have been shooting in a hurry, or it could be the landscaping. I don't know. Let's check them all real quick. R, by the way, goes into crop mode, which also allows you to balance things. Ooh, look at my centering. Well, they're centered. The building is not. Not level. There we go. Okay, cool. These are fun, but definitely off with the white balance, and the leveling is horrible on that. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was walking and shooting. I may have been shooting blind on that one. I don't remember. So I'm going to turn off my sync. Fix this vertical. Just kind of eyeballing it here. Yeah, this one, not great either. I was in a hurry. You know, I don't want to take a couple away from their wedding for too long, but at the same time, these are photos they're going to cherish for the rest of their life. So, you know, I kind of want to do them right the first time. I like the silhouette there. This might be a cool black and white. Yeah, I'll do that in black and white. So V turns it to black and white. My leveling looks a little weird. There we go. All right, deselect that black and white one, turn back on my sync. Now we can edit all these in batch. So sky highlights down, which is pretty much the sky. You might have noticed I'm kind of doing the same edits on a lot of these, just with different amounts and intensities, because that's just kind of my style. I like natural and vibrant, but a little bit poppy, but not, you know, not too much. I'm not trying to follow trends. I'm just doing what makes me happy, and people pay me for that. Oh, I love that one. Look at that dynamic range. I have lots of wiggle room on them, and the sky is perfectly on, like, just below middle exposure. That's great. I love it. You could also play with the blue luminance, which can further brighten or darken the sky, and then saturating it too. Make it, ooh, not that much. Nice. I love that. Love it. What else we got here? Anything out of ordinary? Oh, these tree ones are great. I did some natural light and some with flash. Let's do these flash ones. You can tell it needs a lot of work. I'm also going to remove these cars and whatever that thing is with AI later. But first is Lightroom. I always do Lightroom first. Then I export as JPEG, full resolution, of course. And then I Photoshop those JPEGs. And then they're like completely done JPEGs, and they're ready to upload to my past gallery to send to my clients. With this much nature, I may also tweak some of the color hues. Whether I want it to be fall, I can go this way, or spring, I can go that way, just to make the greens really green or make them more yellow. I personally prefer the spring colors. Just because I feel like everyone does fall colors in their photos, in Texas at least, probably because we have no fall. So a lot of photographers just lean towards the orangey yellows. So I lean away from it. I like softer. Sometimes with bridals, I'll go negative clarity. Let's make this crop a little different so it's different than the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. It's not much of a silhouette because the tree is also silhouetted behind her. So, yeah, I may not keep those. They were just fun to shoot because the sunset was so nice. I mean, that makes a pretty nice bright and airy photo, even though it was so underexposed. I was shooting at ISO 200. Let's see how bad it is up close. Ooh, pretty bad. Even at ISO 200. Let's do some denoising. That looks pretty great. That's not even AI denoising. The AI denoising Lightroom is even better, but it takes a long time. So I'm actually happy with that. Let me keep that. Gotta get some groom portraits. Do not forget about the grooms on the wedding day. It's not just the bride's day, it's their day together. Nice, he's gonna like that. These are some nice ones. The sun was getting really low and really weak, or dim rather, and so my flash doesn't have to work as hard, which means I can get even more dramatic results without having a crazy strong flash. This is only the 8200. So it can't overpower the sun, but when it gets dim and later, it's a great fill light or key light. Let's enhance the saturation of blues. There we go. Awesome. This is a recreation of sorts of a photo that I already took a long time ago. Everyone takes this picture at the McNay Art Museum in San Antonio. Every couple, all of them. It's a requirement. It's in the contract. Let's see what they look like next to each other. I think it kind of screwed up the leveling on this one. Too many diagonals. Let's fix that second one. There you go. There. Should have shot that straight on like I did these. It's funny how often I use my real estate photography tricks at weddings. When there's, rooms involved and architecture and stuff like that. Okay, these are a little dark and kind of bluish. So I'm going to warm them up, brighten them up a lot. Drop that highlight a little bit. Nice. These are natural light in the shade, so they definitely need some warming up. Nice dreamy, look at that. 90s soap opera right there. Oh yes, telenovela. That's a telenovela filter. Or the 90s mall portrait. At least here in Texas, everyone got one of those blurry or soft focus mall portraits with like the hearts in the background. It's coming back, it's a thing. Look at this heavenly glow. A little too heavenly. Bring it back down to earth. If your photo is hazy, like this one has a lot of just glare, my lens might have been oily, I don't know, but you can increase the dehaze and it'll clarify things really good. Just don't go crazy, okay? Just a little bit goes a long way. These are the same color. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one because it looks like she's talking or going in for a kiss, but not quite there. A little awkward. That one's nice. Just want to make sure I crop so the focus is actually down where it needs to be. I might even cut his face off. I don't know. Nope, can't do that. I tried. I should have shot a little lower or brought their hands up a little higher to this third right there. Oopsie. These are nice and dramatic with all the shadows. I love it. When you drop those highlights on her dress, it really brings out the details. Nice. Warm that up, give it some contrast, some darks. Whites, highlights are in the sky. Shadows are okay where they are. What does dehaze do? Yeah. Let's tweak the yellows a little bit. Not a lot in the blues there. Reds, yeah, usually lips, hands. Do some vignette, just a little bit. Nice. There we go. Cool. Well, I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you get the point. If you even watched this far, I applaud you. Not the most exciting editing session, but some great photos, I think, and some really foundational editing techniques. If you have any questions or if you have suggestions, maybe some things I could do better, I'm all ears. So comment down below. Thanks for watching.